Hi, hello, and welcome back. My name is Elizabeth Nwansi, and if you are here, you're probably a photographer and you're looking for marketing tips for your photography business. You're going to find a ton of those throughout my content, but really what you're here for today, and I know what you're here for, is you want to figure out how to market properly on your Instagram account for your photography business, even if you don't have that many followers. I'm talking 100 followers, 300 followers, 1,000 followers, or a ton of followers, whatever it may be. The amount of followers that you have, regardless of how little you think that number is, does not mean that you cannot make a living getting tons of inquiries and income from marketing on your photography account. I know this because this is what I did and what I still do is my strategy today for my Instagram account. And when I was doing this, I'm booking $7,000 to $9,000 weddings through my Instagram account. And I only had about 1,600 followers, most of which were family, friends, and acquaintances. So I really did not have that many. So there's nothing worse when I hear people like, you need X amount of followers before you can start making money, or you need, 1,000, 10,000 followers before people start taking you seriously. That just was never the case for me. And I found a really, really cool way to kind of bypass the amount of followers and really get into the nitty gritty of finding my ideal client and marketing to them correctly and win-win for everybody. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you'd like some help planning your Instagram, we have a really awesome freebie. It's called 30 Days of Content, and it's for wedding photographers, and it's going to help you plan out an entire month of content in like an hour. There's content prompts for you. They're all psychologically driven. They all have reasons for why they're there. It's just not like random captions talking about how the sky is blue. And it's absolutely fantastic. We're getting so much good feedback from it. So make sure you go and grab that. You can click the link down below and grab that. That is the 30 days of content for wedding photographers, all pre-written for you. So you can just go in, personalize, and get that done. Okay. So let's jump right in. So, really what I found is that, there is a way to make the follower size of your Instagram account insignificant. It does not matter how many followers you have on your Instagram account as a photographer if you are using the right strategy. Okay. So what this means, and the beautiful thing is that you, with your small follower size, no longer have to look at that and go, oh, well, I have to wait until I reach X amount of followers before I can start talking about my business more to people, before I can start making money in my business, before I can start booking jobs for my photography business. The beautiful thing about that is you can start now, and you should start now, regardless if you have 5 followers, 100 followers, or 10,000 followers. It doesn't matter. Okay. So the first thing that you really, really have to know before anything else has nothing to do with Instagram itself. It has to do with your photography business. You have to know exactly who your ideal client is. If you don't know who your ideal client is, this is why people need to rely on the amount of followers they have, because when you have 10,000 followers and you don't know who your ideal client is, you have a bunch of random people following you because you're not clear on your ideal client or your brand, and you're kind of shooting in the dark. And so you just need the sheer numbers to just hit that like one person who might be interested in inquiring, right? But when you know exactly who you're talking to, you know exactly who your ideal client is, you know exactly what they like, what they don't like, what they want for their wedding, what they want for their family session, all of the things that they're looking for and what they gravitate towards, then you are able to cut through all of the noise and speak directly to that person. And so you don't need a ton of followers because you're speaking to one person directly, and everybody else, are they going to be interested? No, but you're not talking to everybody because you're talking to that one person. And the beautiful thing is that Instagram is such a great tool for once you identify who that ideal client is, what they like, where they like to spend their money, what things they like to do. It's really, really, really a great app to be able to find them and connect with them and build a nurturing sort of relationship after you've introduced yourself. So the very first thing, the very, very, very first thing you have to do before you do any Instagram work is you have to get down to the basics and ask yourself, who is my ideal client? And it's not enough to say, my ideal client's Barbara, and she likes long walks on the beach and dogs and this, that, and the other. When I ask my clients, who is your ideal client, and they give me that answer, I go, cool, but let's go deeper. Okay, so I'm going to ask you things like, where does she like to eat? What kind of coffee does she like? Is she a Starbucks person or a Peet's person? Or does she like some other chain of coffee? What are some things that she's afraid of when she's looking to book a family photographer? What are some things that she's afraid of when she's looking to book a wedding photographer? Does she even want to book a wedding photographer or a family photographer? She's not there yet, and maybe she needs to know more about it. What does a picture of her look like? Do you have that somewhere on you so then you can look and get a really good idea of who you're talking to? I want to get super specific. What is her job? Does she like her job? Does she want to leave her job? Like an entire profile. And this just is so important in marketing in general because it's not just Instagram, but every other avenue that you're marketing on. It's so important that you're speaking to that specific person so that you can cut through all of the noise and really, really, really get to that person quicker than you would if you were just talking to everybody. Okay. So the second thing that is super important after you've identified your ideal client is you need to optimize your profile. And I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of photographers that I've worked with who, when we first started working together, a common thing that I like to do is I like to go through their Instagram account. And a really, really, really common thing that I see across the board is they kind of just throw up all of the images that they have, right? So they do a photo shoot and they're throwing all of the images up there. And it's a huge detriment to their brand because the reality is, as a photographer, we don't need to show all of our images because all of our images from that shoot or that wedding or whatever that we just did are not the best of the best. And so you should only be putting the best of the best on your Instagram account. So you should be optimizing your profile to only show the best of your portfolio images. I like to tell people that your Instagram account is essentially used as a portfolio, just as you would use a portfolio on your website. Because the truth is, so many people in this modern day aren't even going to your website first. They're going to your Instagram account first. And they don't want to spend the extra time to look up the information when they found you on Instagram to go to your website and then look at your gallery. Okay. So you want to catch the person's attention right away. You have a very, very, very small amount of time to catch their attention and have them stick with you. And you do that by optimizing your profile. One of those things you can do is really curating the images that you have in your profile. So what happens a lot is when photographers are including every single, say they shot 30 images and they're including 15 of them from a shoot and they don't love all of them, there's other photographers out there who know the secret and they're curating to the gods, if you will, and only showing the absolute best and also doing it in a very strategic way and placing things the way somebody would in an art gallery. And so if you put apples to someone who's just posting a hodgepodge of images, right, of everything that they've ever shot, and then you have another photographer who's posting the absolute Michael Jordan best images, they're going to look completely different, okay? And there's so many options for people who are super talented on Instagram alone for these people to go with or to inquire with, that it's so important for you to optimize your profile so that you stand out. There's a ton of other ways that you can optimize your profile, but this is going to be hands down the biggest one because this is initially what people see when they land on your profile, right? When someone lands on your profile, the first thing they're going to see is your feed. And then, especially if you're a photographer, from there, they're going to look at your images as a portfolio and decide whether or not they want to move forward with following you, with inquiring with you, all of that good stuff, okay? So Step 2, after you've identified your ideal client, you want to think about the client journey, and you're like, okay, once this ideal client comes to my profile, I need to make sure that my profile is optimized to convert. It's optimized to wow people and really just like knock their socks off. All right. So step 3 of making audience size irrelevant is you need to go out and find the actual leads. We're not relying on numbers anymore, right? We're not relying on 10,000 people to hope that within those 10,000 followers, that some of them might like our stuff because we didn't do our ideal client work and might inquire with us. We're going to work smarter than that because it doesn't matter if you have a small amount of followers, right? So with that being said, this is why it's so important to know your ideal client, because when you know who you're speaking to, when you know where they're hanging out, when you know what they like to eat, where they like to eat, what they like to do, where they like to shop, I mean, literally everything down to like what type of shoes they like to wear, you know exactly where to find these people. And that's what I always recommend you do, is rather than posting and relying on people to hopefully look at a post and then hopefully follow you, and your profile's kind of all over the place. You don't have a well thought out Instagram strategy. It's having the profile optimized. It's having your ideal client in place. And then it's going and finding that ideal client through your Instagram app. Now, there's not enough time to get into exactly how to go out because there's a ton of different ways to do this. But you mainly just want to think about, where does my ideal client hang out? Where are the places that they hang out, especially on this app? And where can I find myself and find them and introduce myself to them? Okay. So again, we're not relying on posting. We're not relying on numbers. We're relying on using Instagram very strategically, optimizing our profile to the absolute best that it can. And that includes feed and everything else that's on there. And get into the head of that ideal customer or the ideal client and think about their customer journey as they find you on Instagram for the first time. When you think about the customer journey, after you've gone out and found that ideal client, what does that journey look like for that person? And how can you make that journey as compelling as possible for them on your Instagram account so that they want to follow you? They want to continue to come look at your profile and come look at your new stuff, come look at your stories. And then eventually they want to go ahead and hit that inquiry button. Okay. So those are my 3 tips. Know your ideal client. Okay. Do that work. Optimizing your profile, which includes, most importantly, your feed as a photographer and using that as your portfolio. And then going out after those 2 things are done and finding that ideal client, going out and introducing yourself to that ideal client, just like a handshake in person, right? Except you're doing it on Instagram. And really, really beautiful, amazing things happen from that. So if you need help, we do have an Instagram course that is in the works. And it will be releasing in a couple weeks, depending on what time you watch this. It might already be out. When that is out, we'll go ahead and link that below as well. But in the meantime, to get you started with your posting and your strategy, I definitely highly recommend getting that freebie. It is the 30 days of content for wedding photographers. If you are any other sort of photographer, you could certainly grab this as well. You just have to change up the prompts a little bit. But it is super helpful to have something full of strategy to help you move your business forward on Instagram. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Try to make this quick and snappy, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.